Alderperson Robinson.
Present.
Hertz.
Here.
Gilbert.
Present.
Swanson.
Here.
Parker.
Here.
Pulis.
Here.
Healy.
Here.
And Mayor Tomes.
All right, if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then a moment of silence afterwards, please.
America. And to the republic for which it stands.
Okay. And do we have public comment? Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. First, I have Linda Hart Staley. Am I right? Hello. Thank you. If you could come up to that mic right there so we can get it on record. It adjusts.
Just pull it
Yeah,
down.
pull it down.
That's
Yep, thank you.
scary. Name is Linda Hart Stoff. I live at 3915 22nd Avenue, Rock Island, Illinois. We have a problem with the garbage trucks. They're taking up my neighbor's yard. They're destroying my hill. They destroyed my yard. And their answer to it is to close the street on Thursdays and Fridays, on Wednesdays and Thursdays. And I'm nervous. I'm sorry, I've never done this before.
Oh, no.
But I have pictures.
So
If
is
you wanna
this
see.
related to the agenda item?
Yes,
It's on
it
the-
is.
Yeah,
Pardon?
no, you're fine.
They
She
wanna-
asked if it was related to the agenda item, and I said it was.
They want to close it, and it's right on the school street where they park and drop their kids off for school. And I just don't think it's acceptable.
Okay.
I have pictures
If
of the destruction.
Yeah, if you would
wanna
like
get
to,
them
can you
Yes,
grab those,
sir.
please, Moses, so we can look at them?
This is where they tore up her yard. This is the alley. They torn her yard up, you can see, all the way over to here. She put the fence up, and my property goes from here on out.
We'll pass those around. Is there anything else you have?
No,
I appreciate it.
can I go?
You can go. We'll bring you back your pictures, though. You can stay if you would like,
Stay here or go?
whatever you want. I appreciate it. The next one, we have Mr. Dave Vanderginst.
Hi, my name's Dave Vanderginst, and I'm here. We have a motion to get a special use permit for a property we have in Rock Island that used to be the Aquatic Swim Club. It's a property that I've owned now for 12, 13 years. The lower half of that property has not been used for anything other than storage since we bought it. I also own a couple of Happy Joe's Pizza restaurants, and we used to have a dough room in the back of one of the Happy Joe's that we took out a couple of years ago and went to a frozen dough. And basically all I'm looking for is to be able to use a portion of the building that we already own there to be able to have, it's called, they're calling it a dough manufacturing plant. It's basically two guys mixing and rolling dough, is really all it is for a total of 4 Happy Joe's here in the Illinois side of the Quad Cities. So I just wanted to clarify what it actually was and introduce myself, so. Okay.
Thank you very much. And we have item number 6.
Minutes from the July 24th, 2023 study session and city council meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes as corrections submitted to the city clerk Friday or today. I forget which one.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Any discussion?
Voice vote. Voice vote.
Voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Next, I have Update Rock Island. We have 4 things on here. Enjoy free music at Schwiebert Park Thursday night from Lissy. Thursday Night Groove kicks off this week with Rock Island native and recording artist Lissy, who will perform as part of Arts and Music Festival Alternating Currents. Concessions begin at 6 p.m. from Bent River Brewery and Happy Joe's Pizza. This free concert begins at 7 p.m. right on the Rock Island riverfront. Next, join the fun and festivities of MLK Family Fun Day this weekend. The annual MLK Family Fun Day Festival begins Friday at 5 p.m. with the Polyrhythms Bill Bell Jazz and Heritage Festival. The parade and Family Fun Day continues on Saturday, August 19th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at MLK Park on the corner of 9th Street and 7th Avenue. Enjoy live music, vendors, food trucks, bounce houses, a dunk tank, and other games. Help set a world record. Floatzilla, the largest paddle event on the Mississippi, is this Saturday. Launch your kayak or canoe from one of 6 different sites and meet up on Lake Potter in Sunset Marina in the afternoon for a group photo in an attempt to break the world record. Enjoy free music and food trucks in Sunset Park. Register at floatzillaqc.org. You can be part of the Labor Day Parade. The 39th Annual Rock Island Labor Day Parade is seeking entries. This year's theme is Planting Pride, Grow Together. Whether you are a musician, clown, play an instrument, march with a group, drive a cool car, or just want to walk, everyone is welcome. Those not in the parade are encouraged to watch it the morning of Saturday, September 4th. For more information on being in the parade, please contact Mary Chapel at 309-269-7944. The entry deadline is Monday, August 6th. August 21st. All right. Number 8, consent agenda.
Items A through G.
I have a quick question on the ACH report. I don't want it pulled separately, I just want to ask my question.
Okay.
It's
Move.
for Linda.
Oh.
Can we not do that?
Would it be appropriate to make a motion and then ask questions?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And to approve consent agenda items A through G.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
It says we're not supposed to, that's why I said it before.
That's fine.
Linda, so do we usually have so much in the ACH report for work comp? It just seemed like there was an awful lot, and maybe it just hit me funny. I don't know. Oh, Rob. Where's Rob? Sorry.
That was a couple months of claims in there. It was a
Oh,
larger
okay, so
claim
that's why
volume.
it was quite a lot.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis. Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number 9, claims.
Claim items A through I.
To approve claim items A through I.
Second.
Any discussion?
Due to the nature of my employment, I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Fair enough. Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number 10, purchases.
A, report from the Public Works Department regarding the purchase in the amount of $885,419.08 from Ferguson Waterworks, DeKalb, Illinois, for water meters and an automated meter reading system.
Move to approve the purchase as recommended.
Second.
Roll call.
I have a
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry. Questions? or discussion?
So this is the first order of 3,000 of the meters. I'm assuming the 5/8 inch meters are for residential?
Correct.
Okay, so how many total are we gonna need for residential? So this is 3,000, how many do we need total?
You know, I have two gentlemen that I have here just for this item tonight that I'd like to come up and, or maybe one they're debating.
Oh, okay.
Pat or Jason?
Mr. Upton or Mr. O'Brien? Which one?
We have about 14,000 meters,
That's what I
and the
thought.
majority of those are the 5/8 meters. But they can
Okay.
give you more information on that.
Even just a ballpark. 1,000 total meters, I knew that.
Good evening. It is about a 5-year plan, 3,000 meters, 3,000 to 3,200 meters a year in years 1 through 4, and then we'll finish up with around 1,100 in year 5 is the plan. 3,000 5/8 meters each year, 100 3/4 inch meters, and 100 1-inch meters, and they will all be residential.
Oh, those are all residential?
Correct. We did the large meters in the performance contract in 2019 and 2020.
Okay, so it's still approximately 14,000 meters?
That is correct.
Okay, so what are we projecting the total cost is gonna be for this entire project? It's this one here alone is almost 900,000.
Yeah, and that price for the meters isn't going to change from year to year.
Right, okay.
Significantly. The labor cost is the unknown at this time, and as the memo states, we're going to be going out for a proposal to have the meters
This is just to
installed.
purchase the meter.
This is just for the purchasing of the meters from the vendor.
So how much just to purchase the meters approximately?
What is that, 200 and, yeah, the meters is 885,000 as the memo states here.
No, I
For the-
mean
for the
total
purchase.
for the 5 years.
This price is going to stay consistent over that 5 years. So that's what you're looking at.
Times 4, right?
Times 4.
Well, the numbers will be a little bit different, lower in years 2 through 5, because we'll have on the front end, we're doing also the software for the back office and things of that nature.
Okay.
And this is to get it where we can make monthly water bills.
Correct.
So, just so everyone knows that. this
Not
is
only
what we're-
monthly water readings, it'll give residents a little more power to look into their own information as well.
Okay, well, if you come up with a calculation for that number, could you please just forward it on to me?
Yeah, and again, Pat, how old are our meters currently?
The last time Rock Island did a mass meter change out was 1998 to 2000. And generally, residential meters have like a 20 to 25-year life expectancy. And so it's time. Not only are the meters older, but we don't have the capabilities to do what most municipalities are currently doing, which is, calculating water loss for the residents, monthly meter readings. They're all good things for the residents.
Well, absolutely, and I'm totally for this project because we will be able to offer finally monthly water bills. I think that's going to be a huge benefit for our residents.
And just a small disclaimer too, and I'm sure Tim and the whole software team is cringing, but the ERP package, which is going to take several years, this is all tied into that, and so this won't happen instantaneously. I mean, it could in phases, but there's costs associated with that, with our current software that we have.
Okay.
It'd be an easier rollout to do this once the 4th or 5th year is completed and we bring it all on board at the same time. So I
yeah.
don't want to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
want to kind of stress that it's not going to happen instantaneously.
After everyone gets it installed, then it goes online,
Correct.
so to speak. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now for a roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number 11.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding an extension of the consultant services agreement with Two Rivers and Associates, Inc.
Move to approve the extension as recommended.
Second.
There's been a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item B.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding an agreement with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service for the Partners for Fish and Wildlife Program.
Move to approve the agreement and direct the city manager to execute the documents.
Second.
There's been a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item C.
Report from the Parks and Recreation Department regarding a contract with Langman Construction for the Mel McKay Park Pickleball projects using $300,000 in ARPA funds and $84,200 in an OSLID grant fund.
Motion to award the contract using $300,000 in ARPA funds and $84,200 in OSLAD grant funds and allow the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
There's been a second. Any discussion?
I need to recuse myself from this one as well due to the nature of my employment.
Okay. Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item D.
Report from General Administration regarding a proposal for design services for the City Hall Improvement Project with Streamline Architects of East Moline, Illinois, in the amount of $58,200 using ARPA unrestricted funds.
Move to approve the use of unrestricted ARPA funds in the amount of $58,200 for the City Hall Improvement Project and authorize the city manager to execute the documents.
We have a second. Any discussion?
I just have a question. So I was having trouble with the software. Was there a memo that went with this item?
Yeah. Or no, there wasn't a memo, I don't think. There was just a contract, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item E.
Report from the Public Works Department. Oh, there it goes. Regarding a 3-year extension of the Sunset Marina Management Contract with F3 Marina.
Motion to extend the contract is recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Okay. Item F.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a memorandum of understanding with Metrolink.
Move to authorize.
Doug, you wanted to talk on this? I'm sorry, guys.
We need a motion.
We need a motion first.
All right. Okay, my fault, Doug. You got to wait to a motion.
Parker, I heard it for the
Move
first.
to authorize the city manager to execute the memorandum of understanding as recommended.
Second.
There's been a second. Now, I'm sorry, Mr.
Ladies
Howe.
first.
You hear from us, Mayor?
I guess.
All right.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor, council, and city staff. We thank you for this opportunity to present on the memo of understanding before you for consideration. My name's Doug House, and I'm here with Lucy Van Heck, representing Metrolink, to outline what this MOU is and what it is not, and to answer any questions that you may have before you vote. This memo of understanding between Metrolink and the City of Rock Island is a first step of a regional local government effort led by Metrolink. Other participating local governments include East Moline, and Rock Island County. The need for a collective effort is to maximize the region's position when seeking resources and grants for the charging stations. Through a collective regional approach, we are stronger when competing for grants, and we can take advantage of economies such as purchasing standardized charging infrastructure. Make no mistake that EV charging stations will be an expensive and an ambitious effort, and will be a challenge better achieved through a regional effort. This EV charging effort is strategic, seeking the greatest economic benefit to our partners, you, by placing charging stations on your selected properties that you own in areas close to destination points, such as the district, hotels, restaurants, and other forms of retail, as well as governmental facilities like the new federal building. This effort does not seek to replace private enterprises. We're trying to attract electric vehicle owners to our retail centers. So why is Metrolink leading this effort? It is because of their successful experience in grants and grant awards for electrical vehicles, namely buses, and their charging systems, including their operation and their maintenance, that we're here meeting about this today. Number one is a local governmental entity whose boundaries cover all of the other participating entities. Metrolink has an existing relationship of providing services and has demonstrated an environment of collaboration with you that has spanned decades. Metrolink currently has the technical staff experience, including managing, grant writing, electrical vehicle and charging system technicians, and engineering resources to execute this project. Number three, Metrolink has received and expended more than $30 million to date in grants purchasing and maintaining a fleet of electrical buses and installing and maintaining their charging systems. Currently, they have a $6 million grant that they're executing that's specific to the effort of expanding the bus charging systems to their bus stations. So they're putting charging stations, overhead charging stations, at the bus transfer stops, like the one here in Rock Island is about to be done. This will allow the buses to be in service hours even longer to a benefit of our riders. Most recently, Metrolink was awarded a $600,000 state grant for vehicle electric charging stations and has committed that $600,000 to this regional effort to be used as a match. So that first $600,000, whatever we get into in monies that we find or grants that we actually go out to get, Metrolink is putting their money and their grant money up front to help leverage that as the match for those dollars. Metrolink is actively meeting with EV charging station vendors, grant writers, and exploring other funding sources and other governmental partners. So this is the first step. So what would the next steps or future steps be? Once we are able to secure dollars in the area where the kind of money that you need to actually start implementing, we'll be coming back to you and we'll be seeking formal intergovernmental agreements with you for the construction and the build-out phase and the management portion of this. These stations will be uniform and standardized throughout the local system for the cities and for Metrolink. And there will be a software type of package to manage them, a maintenance package to try and keep them all current and up to speed. And then that will come back before you, and we'll be back and ask for an intergovernmental agreement at that time. Does anybody have any questions about what we're...
How many do you think you want to try to put in? Ish.
Yeah, we have 3 sites in Rock Island
Okay.
that, in the
Yep.
microphone,
You're
sorry.
good.
We have 3 sites in Rock Island that have been suggested by your city staff.
Okay.
Moline has about 3 to 4. East Moline has 2 sites that they've suggested, and Rock Island County has a couple of sites at their local parks.
Okay, excellent.
How much does one site cost?
So we are looking at DC fast chargers, which is a level 3 charger. It means that you can plug your car in and it will be charged 80 to 100% in an hour or less. That costs a lot of money. Generally, with utility upgrades and the work that needs to be done, we're looking at between 100 to 200,000 per charger. However, we feel that it is extremely important that we install these types of chargers here in the Illinois Quad Cities. We sit at the nexus of I-74, I-80, I-280. We are between Chicago, Des Moines, Minneapolis, St. Louis. As more and more electric vehicles get on the road, people will need to stop and charge their cars. What better place to do that than the Illinois Quad Cities, where you are investing millions of dollars in your downtown, where restaurants and businesses are already there and will be flourishing, and people will need to stop, and they don't want to stop for 4 hours at a level 2 charger. They want to stop for an hour. They can grab lunch downtown. They can shop. They can go to a cafe downtown. That's the point that we're trying to make here. These are not meant for local use. Anybody local could use them, but the draw is the visitors to help with economic development in our downtowns.
And it adds it to the map on the cars also, right?
Yes, all of that will happen.
Does the state, like when you purchase, when you purchase vehicles, does the state keep track of like how many are electric vehicles? So you would know like, okay, we got X number of electrical vehicles and.
That is information that is starting to be collected. In Illinois, there are less electric vehicles that have been purchased than in other states, but the numbers are starting to increase, and they will start to increase exponentially, especially with the federal rebates that are offered to people. They are going to start taking advantage of these, especially as they become more available. Right now, the Illinois Quad Cities only has a couple of chargers, public chargers, and the DC fast chargers that will charge you in less than an hour are only available at car dealerships. Most people are not going to want to stop at a car dealership.
So you were, and maybe I missed it, you were talking about 2 to 3 sites in Rock Island. So how many chargers per site?
The grant that we have applied for, the federal grant, it's a CFI community grant. It requires 4 ports at each site. So there would be 4 dedicated parking spots at each location.
Okay, and then will there be room for expansion at those sites?
Yes, that is our goal, and that is something MetroLink is excellent at, is future-proofing the things that we have invested in. Doug had mentioned electric bus charging equipment. We are currently at District Station and at our OMC garage going to be investing between $4 and $5 million in the next 2 years in increasing our electric infrastructure for our buses, because we continue to procure more electric buses. That upgrades the utility. Specifically at District Station, that's one of the sites that the city would like to have electric vehicle chargers at, so the utility there will already be upgraded due to our work to upgrade electricity for our buses.
Real quick too, you said 2 to 3 sites. Are all those sites located in the downtown area, or?
Yes, this particular grant that we have applied for requires that it be part of disadvantaged communities. Our downtowns, Moline, Rock Island, and East Moline all fall within that on the census tract. And we have specifically chosen those locations as well because of where we're located off of interstates. It's going to be very easy for people to stop in these communities quickly before they hop back on the road to get to Des Moines or Minneapolis or head down south to St. Louis.
Do you also, and I know we have a couple of sites in our own parking across the street there. Is that one of the sites is that part of this plan?
That was separate. The city added that in separate, but those are level 2 chargers, I believe. So that can take, depending on how low your battery is on your car and how much power your car can take, it can take anywhere between 4 and 8 hours to charge your car fully on those. It's closer to the hotel side, so that makes sense for hotel people staying at the hotel to park their car there overnight if they need to. That parking lot is also a site that we're looking at for fast chargers, which would be closer to the courthouse.
Okay, just checking, because I just want to know if that was part of the two or three, or if that was independent of that.
Yes, it is.
So, okay.
We would aim to, with an intergovernmental agreement, look at putting those closer to the courthouse where it would make more sense with people traveling from out of town for their cases.
Okay, thank you.
I can tell you, Randy, I borrowed Lightning from Sexton the one time, and I used the old charger. I don't know what that was in the ramp. I got 24% in 4 hours is all I got. So,
It's pretty
yeah.
slow, and nobody on a road trip really wants to stop for a very long time, so.
All right,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions?
That's good stuff.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
We appreciate your time.
And roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Parker, Pulis.
Aye.
Healy,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
and Hertz.
Aye.
Item G.
Report from the Police Department regarding a memorandum of understanding with the City of Rock Island, City of Moline, and Rock Island County for the purpose of applying for Shared Justice Assistant Grants Funds, or JAG funds.
Move to approve the memorandum of understanding and authorize the mayor to execute the agreement subject to any minor attorney modifications.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion?
Real quick, I was wondering if the chief could come up and just, so anybody that may be listening to understand what this is. Just a brief description. Thank you.
The Justice Administration grant is awarded based on crime statistics. We got our first award last year. Prior to that, we actually had not received the award for, I think, a year or two prior. I think it was in 18 and 19. I have to go back and look for sure, but this is something we do with the grant cycle. Every year we budget for it. Moline has taken over now as far as administrating it. Prior to that, it was the Sheriff's Department. So that's why we have the new MOU, and this is the dollar amount assigned to us for fiscal year 24.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
For anything specific?
If you look in the memo I wrote, I actually put in for a UTV style vehicle for the downtown, for patrolling the downtown, and also for special events. The current one we have now is an old Gator, the John Deere Gator that we got back from ILEAS back after September 11th. There was a lot of funding put out there and we received it. We've had that ever since then. So looking forward, we thought that might be a good expense to put those money towards.
Great. Thank you.
Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
and Hertz.
Aye.
Item number 12.
Report. I got you. Report from the Mayor's Office regarding an amendment to the Code of Ordinances, Division 10, Section 2-310A, Police Community Relations Commission, first reading.
Move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the amendment to the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
and Hertz.
Aye.
Item B.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 309 11th Avenue, PIN 16032011014, to Monica Diaz for $1 plus closing costs. First reading.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
and Hertz.
Aye.
C.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 1323 to 25 6th Avenue, PIN 0735127014, to Prince Davis for $722.50 plus closing costs. First reading.
Motion to consider, suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
I'm sorry, Alderperson Gilbert, do you have a question
Isn't it supposed to be suspend the rules, consider, and pass the ordinance?
as far as the wording? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
You want to amend the motion?
Sure.
please.
Motion to suspend the rules, consider, and pass the ordinance.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
So, one question. So are these, before, we put these all in one grouping, right? Like a consent agenda?
I don't think for
No.
selling property you
We've
can.
never put them.
We haven't?
Yeah.
Second readings.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I messed it up about a month ago, so.
I'm just
You're
getting the
okay.
practice. I'm getting excellent practice.
No, that's a
problem.
great question, though, but procedurally, okay.
All right. Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert,
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker,
Aye.
Pulis,
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item D, let's try it again.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department, oh, no, I already read D, I'm sorry. It's E, report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding.
No.
Nope.
On
nope,
D.
it's D.
Prince Davis.
Yep.
The gentleman is purchasing two.
Oh, okay, I'm
Yep,
sorry, I
yep.
got messed up.
Nope.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property located at 1327 Sixth Avenue, pin 0735127015, to Prince Davis for $658 plus closing costs, first reading.
A motion to suspend the rules, consider and pass ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number E.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the purchase of property located at 708 7th Avenue for $10,000 plus closing costs, first reading.
Motion to suspend the rules, consider and pass ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number F.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding an amendment to a special use permit for Route 6 Equity Growth Corporation at 3204 27th Avenue, first reading.
Anybody?
I think it's mine.
Yes. it is.
So, move to approve the amendment for the special use permit as recommended.
Second. Discussion.
Miles, can
I
you
have some
come up?
questions too.
So, in the memo, for this and the other special use permit, it mentions the 7 standards, and it said this one didn't meet it, and the other one did. What are the 7 standards, and shouldn't that be included in the memo, each of the standards for
We can
us?
certainly do that in the future, and I couldn't rattle all 7 off to you this evening. I do want to speak specifically, though, to the recommendation that staff are making in this case. Staff are recommending against the approval of this. So just to be clear, Tim, just for the audience, would you please open up the map for this item? So I just for context, because this is kind of tucked away, this is the former Aqualetics property. You access it there off of 32nd Street in the kind of upper left of the blue highlighted parcel. The facility in question is the building that's on the right of the 2 structures. This is the 2-story building. The first floor used to have kind of like a snack area, kind of lounge area, and then the locker rooms. This property has a long and rather complex zoning history, and I just want to take a minute here to explain a little bit about why staff are making the recommendation that they're making, given this more complex history. And it's in the spirit of understanding kind of what those different items involve.
Well, and I also want to know, but the planning commission voted to approve it, so I want to know why
Yes,
they
so
voted
I'm
to
gonna,
approve it.
let me move through that here. So the Aqualetics facility was originally established through special zoning action. It was not a use by right on this property at the time it was established in 1962. We actually went and pulled out the old meeting minutes from that time to clarify this. I was active for approximately 50 years before closing, and that's when we start to see the special use permit history really come into play. Around 1990, there's an initial approval to begin converting some of the space into apartments. And since that time, it's basically all of the changes to the special use permit have been to expand residential use within the facility. There have been a couple of requests from time to time exploring different ideas, but those are what have been approved. When you look at this map, what you're seeing in the red text are the different zoning districts that surround it. And if you haven't been back here in person, just to kind of explain what you're looking at, R1, which is our lowest density residential district, that's for single-family houses, so that's kind of the whole north side. To the lower left, you'll see the former Tri-City Jewish Center, which is now the Midtown Watts Library / YMCA facility. R4 is a slightly higher residential density district for like small apartments, as well as certain types of community facilities like what you see there. You also see R4 off to the east side where there are some kind of mid-size apartment buildings. And then to the south in the kind of middle bottom there you see C1. That is a conservation district usually used for parks. In this case though, what you see there is the old Jewish cemetery, which is kind of like a park space. All of staff's recommendations around special use permits, along with many other different sorts of zoning actions, are about the compatibility of different types of uses, okay? So you don't want a huge difference of intensity between two uses. The classic zoning example is you don't want the big factory next to the little house. They don't play nice together, right? So when we are reviewing different applications for things, that's kind of the context through which we evaluate things, the lens through which we see things. The different residential uses which have been previously approved for this facility are basically in keeping with their surroundings, right? Some apartments, near some houses, right? One of the ways we look at special use permits as well is to decide whether or not the special use permit constitutes some sort of more permanent change to a facility, a building, or a site. A special use permit, right, doesn't go with the property, it goes with the person. And it's meant to be of a temporary nature, right? That would be what makes it distinct from a zoning change, which is a permanent change of the property. Doesn't matter who owns it, it's zoned a certain way for a certain type of use, okay? In this particular case, when staff were evaluating it, those were the sorts of things that they were looking at. It is a site that's located in the middle of a neighborhood. This would be the first time someone was seeking to do something with it which was not fundamentally of a residential nature. In other words, creating a slightly greater intensity of use through, albeit a minor, business use. It is not really in keeping with the pattern of development we would want to continue to see in this area. I think ideally what staff have discussed this site being developed in the future for is either slightly more residential development in the form of perhaps apartment buildings like what you see there to the east, perhaps condos tucked away back in a nice wooded area, something in that more residential vein, lower to medium density. I would also add that some of the remodeling that would be required for that lower floor to have this proposed use in it would fundamentally change its physical nature and make it more predisposed to continuing business or commercial uses in the future, something that again would not be in keeping with the surrounding character of the neighborhood. Now, to the Planning Commission hearing that was held, we did actually have 3 different interested parties who showed up, folks who were neighbors of this site. They spoke in opposition to this development for a lot of the same reasons staff recommended against it. There was another person who was not an interested party but just came up to comment and said much the same. The Planning Commission did vote in favor of the approval of this, which is different than what staff were recommending in a 5-to-1 vote. The Planning Commission tends to have a more kind of pro-business attitude, and so they wanted to support this. Staff acknowledged that we do not always share the opinions of our boards and commissions. That's why it comes to you, so you can kind of look at the difference and make your own call. In general, this is just kind of how staff view things. We're not for or against any particular business or what they're trying to do. I want Happy Joe's to be successful, so does the rest of the CED team. But that is kind of the methodology through which staff achieve the recommendation we have in this case. And we put it before the council to make your call.
So we were told earlier that basically there's going to be 2 guys in there rolling dough. I'm having a hard time seeing where that would be a problem for the neighborhood. You know, if you can enlighten me with that regard, you know, you're saying they're going to have to, or are you anticipating large trucks coming in there and bringing supplies? Is that
The applicant has described basically pickup trucks coming in with materials, only on a very light basis. In the report, you can see some photos showing kind of what the access point would be. Obviously, looking at the map, you can see or plot the route through which those trucks would be taking. Very likely, it is the case that most folks living in that area will not notice them, though the concerns that those interested parties did bring up was related to potential for increased traffic or truck traffic of any nature through their neighborhood. There's no access points directly to the site off of a major arterial, which is something we kind of factor into that. The remodeling, just to make what's basically a kitchen workspace, there wouldn't be any hoods or ranges or anything of that sort. May not be a significant change, but it is a change moving in a commercial direction.
But from my understanding, they're making pizza dough. They're not cooking the pizza there.
That's correct. That is correct.
So I don't understand where they would need hoods or ranges or anything
No,
like
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Those things would not be required.
I misunderstood you. Thank you.
You also said the special use permit goes with the person, not with the property.
Correct.
So if he ever did sell the property, someone else couldn't come in and do that very same thing without applying for
They would have to return,
another-
right, and so another kind of dimension to this is the property has for decades now been operating with a very complex kind of chain of amendments to special use permits. So it also has some very unusual and unique considerations here.
Well, I would probably agree with the other comments being made. I mean, we're talking about a two-person operation, most likely, and I just don't see where that's a big
A question
complication.
a question I have is Mr. Vandergant said that he has 2 Happy Joes and it would be for 4. So is that dough getting sold to the other 2 locations, and is there sales tax revenue coming in on that?
To how the dough is exactly being transferred around to the different locations,
Well,
I would have to.
sold, basically.
Yeah, I would have to defer to him on that question. As for the
Dave?
sales tax revenue question,
So he says yes.
Sold to Rock Island and East Moline,
Okay.
it would actually be sold to.
Even sold to your own 2 locations then? Okay.
I think we're good.
So is the building, is it currently occupied?
the apartments on the upper floor are occupied, yes.
Will stay there.
Yes, under this amendment, yes.
Are they-
There's also a house on the site too, that's occupied as well. Right.
I was wondering who lived in that house. But it's a very isolated parcel.
Yes, it is.
Extremely.
I know that parcel well. I've been up there several times.
Yeah, again, I kind of went through the background on this just to explain. Staff don't look at these requests like in the light of, oh, well, I mean, they're just making pizza dough. Well, we look through it through the lens of trying to look at it just through the process and try to consider all of these different factors. We don't rule on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or anything like that. It's just the process we go through to make our recommendation. I do want to just, as part of the mechanics of this, point something out. Staff did go ahead and prepare an ordinance, which is included with your report, which would provide you with the mechanism to approve this tonight. I do realize, though, looking at it tonight, that there is one small typo, not too huge a deal. West and east buildings are flipped. So the one that's referring to the first and second story building is obviously the east building as opposed to the west, with the other building that's talked about being a single-family residence being the western building. So small typo, nothing significant. We do outline, though, in this ordinance a collection of pretty standard stipulations, which I believe were previously discussed with the applicant, which do kind of your typical things about how many people can be there, when they can be there, and so on. So that is available to you. Staff anticipated that there may be a strong interest in granting this amendment, so we went ahead and prepared that text.
Is there, and if I'm asking too many questions, I apologize,
you're
but
good.
is there machinery involved in this that would disrupt the peace of the neighborhood? Or is
It's
this
my
basically
understanding that there
manual
is
labor?
just manual labor.
Basically 2 Hobart mixers and a Rondo sheeter. No noise, no smoke, no, I mean, there's nothing, no.
So they're just rolling in the dough?
Rolling,
And for years, there was kids playing there that would be, I'm sure, exponentially louder than what was going on there.
Did-
What? Go on.
And it states in here that only one delivery per week may be made for the purposes of production.
Yep.
And then only one delivery to transport the dough per day. So it's like one truck going out per day, and then one week
Right.
someone coming.
So again, staff provided all of this to the council with an understanding that we may, as staff, go through a process to achieve one recommendation, but you as council may choose as a policy matter to go with something different than that recommendation. We are often bound by process. That's our role.
And what were the residents because nobody's called me about
The
it.
the typical concerns of increased traffic were obviously there. A little worry about any sort of extraneous things coming on. We did have a few phone calls with people just sort of asking about the nature of the request that didn't come to speak. That was basically the tenor of the concern. I can assure you that if if things are not as they have been represented to us, we will probably get more concerned questions, and at that time, we will dialogue with the property owner about coming to a resolution. I do remind the council that special use permits are granted by you, and they can be revoked by you. So if any problems were to arise with this particular special use permit, or any other special use permit that may exist in the city, the council has every right to request a review of that permit, potentially modifying it, or in fact revoke it, having gone through due process rigmarole.
Thank you for bringing that up. That was what I was gonna
Miles,
ask.
quick question. Were the residents that made these comments, were they aware of the only one truck a day type of scenario that's being presented here?
So they
or-
heard the full staff report and kind of talked about their different concerns. I confess I was not at that hearing, so I'm not sure if that specifically was made known to them.
Everything was talked about at that meeting, and I actually had conversations with those neighbors whose concerns were because of things that had happened in the past, and I really believe that their minds were put to ease after the meeting.
Okay.
As far as I know.
All right, all good.
With that, though, there were some modifications, so we would have to.
To the motion. Right, I would think there are two things that I think probably should be addressed. And Miles, you'd mentioned that you had prepared an ordinance that could be passed tonight. The motion, as I understand it, was to consider. That was seconded. And secondly, the motion that was considered and seconded has the incorrect information with the flip-flopping of the two parcels.
Yeah.
So I would think it would be appropriate to amend that motion. And once again, I don't know if it's the council's pleasure to have a first reading or if they're intending to pass, but those are the two things that came to my
Yeah,
thought
so
process.
just so you can all see it, if you look at the ordinance in the packet, in section 2, you'll see points 1, 2, and 3. In 1 and 2 where it says west, it should say east, and in 3 where it says east, it should say west. Otherwise, everything's fine.
The motion was only to approve the amendment to the special use permit. There was nothing about the
So she'll have to
ordinance.
withdraw
Yeah.
and make a new motion.
I also just want to make sure, Alderman Parker, it looked like you were going to ask a question. Did you have a question?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
Are there any other questions about this? I hope I've given just a little bit of an insight into kind of how staff reach these sorts of recommendations in situations like this.
Question, procedural question. So is it necessary to approve the amendment, or are we just approving the ordinance for the special use permit amendment?
It's just
I
the first
think
reading, isn't it?
It's the first reading, but I think in preparation, you prepared, correct?
Yeah, I mean, so, but if I may. for the
Sure,
sake-
absolutely.
In situations like this, staff will always try to prepare everything so that if the council so wills it, you can get things done expediently. Because we are mindful that the applicant would obviously like an answer sooner rather than later. But it's perfectly in staff's view, it's up to the council whether or not you wish to approve this in 2 readings or 1 reading. We don't have ourselves a preference.
Okay, so what I would suggest is that council, if they so wish, if it's the council's desire, to make it a motion to approve the amendment to the special use permit as recommended and consider the ordinance,
No,
or if you want to
I
suspend.
don't want to pass it tonight.
Okay, then just consider the ordinance, and we will put it for a second reading.
Because I want to give the residents an
Yep.
opportunity, because
So
like
just
I said,
consider.
no one has called me and said anything.
Yep.
So I want to give the residents an opportunity to voice their concern directly to me, if they so wish.
I will withdraw my second.
And I'll withdraw my motion, and I
Okay.
guess,
So we're back at item F.
right. So,
So now all you need to do is make a motion amending the east and west flip-flop.
okay, so I make a motion to amend,
Approve the modified amendment.
to approve the modified amendment to the special use permit as recommended.
And consider the ordinance.
She doesn't want to pass it
I don't
tonight.
want to pass it.
But you're just
Not
considering it
answering.
tonight, it'll
So-
come for a second
Consider.
reading.
Okay,
So-
and consider
So
the
the second will say
ordinance.
pass.
And consider the ordinance.
Yep.
Second.
Goodness.
We have a second.
Oh,
Any,
so complicated.
any other more discussion?
Hope not.
Yep.
Call the question.
Roll call, please.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hurt.
Aye.
All right. Hey, thank you, Miles. I appreciate all that. And thank you, Mr. Vandergens, for answering those questions.
And moving right along.
And moving right along. Item G.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a special use permit request for Barry Ruther at 2963 9th Street, first reading.
Move to consider the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion on this one?
I have a question. Has Mr. Ruther or CED staff, anybody spoken with the neighbors? Were there any neighbors at the planning commission?
I don't believe anyone was there in opposition. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think anyone had any issues. Yeah, so the property in question, and Tim, if you would actually open the map for this as well, I think it's helpful just to sort of see what we're talking about.
It's the old Dingle Dines.
Can you show the
correct?
map as opposed to the picture? Perfect. So just, again, to orient ourselves, the applicant has purchased all 4 of the lots previously owned by the Dingledines. So that's the 2 vacant lots, the Dingledine house, and then this property here on the corner, which is the subject of the application. To the east of that, you see the large open space that the city itself owns. To the west, you see kind of within that R2, kind of 1 and 2 unit residential district, a bunch of single-family homes. To the south, you see a few other homes kind of to the southeast. You see one of our fire stations there, which is in an O1 or small office district. And then that R4 district is high-density residential development. So we did not have any concerned folks from that area, but you can also see, kind of looking in context, it's kind of a big open space that it's going to be operating in. Historically, as staff understands it, there was a kind of fruit and vegetable stand at this location for a very long time. So in a lot of respects, it's a return to a pre-existing use that was there. Here highlighted, the proposed parking area is approximately where folks would be when coming here to purchase fruit and vegetables, with the garage being where a lot of it would be contained.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Thanks, Miles.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hurt.
Aye.
All right, we have item number 13, and I think this is where we're going to fit Todd's presentation in? Shortened version.
Shortened version, Todd. I think he's okay.
When are
with
we
that.
finishing up the other one?
Other business?
What is that, PowerPoint?
Other business?
There we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna make them wait.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, council. Here to present on the RIFAC remodel project as part of the ARPA funding. Some background information. We've been working with Streamline Architects to develop the scope for this project. An RFP was initially released for the project as a whole, but we rejected the bids because they came back over budget. So we regrouped and we re-released the bids in smaller specialized segments to get more competitive bids. The RFPs were released for each segment, including the locker replacement, steam and sauna replacement, pool windows and doors, the pool amenity to replace the diving board, new locker room flooring, a preschool entrance wall, and exterior building maintenance. So we received the following bids. Henley Group was the low bid for the locker replacement. They were also the low bid for the steam and sauna replacement. And then Valley was the low bid for the pool windows and doors and the locker room flooring. By State Masonry provided a bid for some exterior work to mainly the pool and lobby area. We have some bricks and mortar that's severely degraded. There's some structural issues there, also some flashing issues that are creating leaks in the lobby area right off the pool, and moisture coming through the bricks and causing effervescence and staining on the exterior wall. So this long list of remedies would address those issues on the exterior of the building. Vortex Pool Slide provided a quote for a slide that would replace the existing diving board. The diving board's been grandfathered in to the pool. If we were to repair it or remove it and try to put it back, we'd have to make the pool 2 feet deeper based on the current state guidelines. So it's structurally safe now, but you can see where it's rusting around the bottom. It's going to need to be removed or replaced at some point in the future. So we're recommending to replace it with a slide similar to what's in the picture there, which wouldn't require any additional staff, or it would fit into the framework of the existing pool deck. The East Moline Glass provided a quote to install a glass wall in the lobby area of RIFAC where our preschool classrooms begin. Our preschool program's really expanded in the last few years. We have 3 classrooms now and over 60 students, and right now there's no security as you walk in the building. It's wide open when you go to the left in the main entrance, so anybody can walk right into our preschool area, and the kids are coming in and out of the classrooms. The classrooms themselves are secure, but they're coming in and out of the classrooms, going to the bathroom and visiting other parts of the facility throughout the day. So this glass wall would be an attractive, it wouldn't just be a drywall, it'd be a nice attractive security feature that would put our parents, our students, and our teachers at ease. So that leaves us with a contingency of just over almost $23,000 for the project. So the overall budget comes to $707,000 for all these elements. This does not include the architect fees, which were already approved at a prior meeting before the RFP went out. Oops, skipped a slide. So just some background on RIFAC itself. It's been a pillar in our community for over 40 years. It's our main health and wellness facility. It provides education opportunities, enrichment, youth development, recreational activities. It's kind of the face of our Parks and Recreation Department. Our main registration office is located at RIFAC, as well as our administrative offices. And really, when people think of Rock Island Parks and Rec, RIFAC's what comes to mind. In fact, they call a lot of our programs RIFAC programs. They play soccer for RIFAC. They golf at RIFAC golf courses. It's just kind of a catch-all for Rock Island Parks and Recreation. The pandemic really proved how valuable parks and recreation activities are. Our parks have never been busier. Now people are really coming back to recreational activities and putting more importance in those areas. And these ARPA funds really provide a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to address some significant upgrades at RIFAC and to help us set ourselves up for success in the long run. So we're recommending that the City Council approve the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $707,000.
Hey, Todd, one question. The glass wall.
Yes.
Of course, there's going to be a doorway or something.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I was going to say, how are you going to control the access to your rental spaces and?
Like for basketball games and
Yeah.
stuff on the weekends? Yeah, we would have it open for those.
Okay. So just during the
School hours, it would be shut and only accessed by our staff.
Are you gonna have like a fob or something, or?
Haven't really worked out the details yet. We have keypads on all of our other doors, so it'll be something similar to that, most likely.
Okay.
That's when you walk in, it's gonna be to the left, yeah.
It was, at one point, that was the end of the building before we added on the preschool room.
Yeah.
So there's kind of the tile changes right there, and there's a window.
So that-
Yeah, so it would just be enclosing the rest of that hallway.
Anyone else have any questions? Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, with that, we have 13A.
Report from the Parks and Recreation Department regarding the Rock Island Fitness and Activity Center, or RIFAC, remodel project recommending the use of $707,000 in restricted ARPA funds.
Motion to approve the use of $707,000 in ARPA funds for the RIFAC remodel project.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion, questions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Right. We have 14A through C.
If the council wishes, I can read each one.
Move to approve budget adjustments A through C.
I have
And-
questions on B.
There we go. Any questions? Yeah. Go for it.
So this is for the CDBG budget adjustment regarding using funds that were not spent in previous years. So reading this and looking at the list of all the funding from various years that wasn't spent, I guess, and maybe Linda too, I mean, I don't understand how staff keeps track of this, all these unexpended funds, because it seems like when we're approving, we've been approving similar budget adjustments for previous years, unexpended funds. In the annual action plan, there's always unexpended funds in there. So I'm like, is this gonna be the end of it with, like,
That's the goal.
Spend it
That is the goal. Tim, would you do me a favor and open that memorandum that
what's HUD's
contains?
policy? They allow you to keep carrying this over? I mean, this is
Yeah.
going back to 2018.
Would you please scroll down to the portion of this report that has like a little table in it?
Fine. That's the wrong memo.
There we are. So that's just so folks can kind of see here. I love a visual. Okay. So when it comes to HUD's rules about this, they go back a certain number of years for timeliness purposes to say you need to expend it or give it back to us, right?
Right.
So they have that rule. But within that, you have a lot of leniency about where in your budget and how you budget for it, okay? So to your point, staff's intent with this action is to eliminate this peculiar situation where we have a lot of money hanging out over a number of different years. We want to roll all of it forward using the oldest money first. We have a large number of folks on our housing rehab waiting list that we'll be able to use this money for in pretty swift order. The goal moving forward from this point will be, at any given time, we have the current year's money and maybe a small portion from the previous year that's only been held over because there's a project that's been held over that's not yet complete, right? So the intent here would be staff always moving forward uses oldest money first, and we don't have this money hanging out here all the way to the edge of that period of time that HUD says we can let it hang out. It's an accounting problem for us just to track our own expenditures. This will help simplify things and make it easier for both the CED department and the finance department to collaborate in the kind of ongoing effort to tighten up the books on CDBG funds and do a better job of keeping track of them.
So what's the plan to spend the almost $500,000?
A lot of that will be plugged into the backlog of housing rehab program projects that we have. I think at this point in time, we have nearly 100 people on the waiting list. If council kind of rolls the clock back a little bit, you will recall that a goal staff had was to speed up the kind of waiting list process so folks weren't hanging on it as long, but we also wanted to get more of the word out that the program was available. We have, in a certain sense, been a victim of our own success in getting the word out because more and more people have gotten on the waiting list. This has been actually, it's kind of hard to say, made worse or made better through the adoption of the Neighborly platform, which is allowing people to do online applications and really submit more of their stuff to us more completely and more quickly. So this money will be deployed primarily to address that now slight backlog in the waiting list.
When you say housing backlog, just so people know, this is for people who need like a new roof put on, or
Yep, so
a
the city
new water
maintain.
heater or
Yep, so for
furnace?
anyone listening, if they have interest, obviously we have more information available from our community development team. But in essence, we have a low to moderate income housing rehabilitation program for folks who own their own homes. The goal is to get essential work done to improve the quality of their housing and extend the useful life of their house. Typical items might include a roof replacement or repair, new furnace, new water heater. We might make repairs to the access point of the house, so make sure you have safe steps to get in and out the front and back door. We will at times do work involving the replacement of siding, especially if there's concerns around asbestos or lead-based siding. It's a range of different things, but basically we prioritize the action items that we will do at a property based on their kind of code compliance concerns. So obviously, if your roof is failing, that's a real top priority, whereas something more minor will be further down the list.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. Anyone else? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item 14D.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the CY 2023 budget, increasing the Parks and Recreation Fund 555 revenues and expenditures by $84,464.12 for the Highland Springs Clubhouse Project 6488.
Motion to approve the line of credit drawdown and the budget adjustment in the amount of $84,464.12.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item E.
Report from the Finance Department regarding the municipal compliance reports for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022, from the Fire Pension Fund and the Police Pension Fund.
Move to accept the reports as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item 15A.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request from Eugene Malcolm, 3752 12th Street, to install a handicap parking space in front of his home. First reading.
Motion to consider the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item B.
Report from the Traffic and Engineering Committee to ban parking on the west side of 22nd Street, 25 feet north and 25 feet south of the center line of the alley between 6th and 7th Avenues. First reading.
Move to consider the ordinance.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion or questions?
So this is the item that the lady, no, oh, I'm sorry.
Different one.
Wait,
You okay?
which one are we on?
We're on
22nd Street. That one was
B.
22nd Avenue.
Yeah, that's 22nd Avenue.
Oh, okay.
This is a block from
It's
my
the
house.
next one.
Okay. Thank you.
Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item C.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee to ban parking on the south side of 22nd Avenue, 25 feet east and 25 feet west of the center line of the alley between 39th and 40th Streets. First reading.
Motion to consider the ordinance.
Second.
Questions or discussion? And I'll ask a question to Mike.
Yeah, Mike, come up.
Mike, it's my ward. I talk to these people. What other modifications were asked or made? I know everyone saw those pictures.
Maps that we can
Yeah.
pull up and.
that place is tiny. So I guess what other questions or what else was looked into before deciding to just make a ban at basically a T there?
Yeah, so the responses, most of them stated that if enacted, they would like to see it only on the trash day.
Yeah.
And so that was the modification that we did make,
Okay.
because that's really only when it's needed.
Okay.
We realize it's an inconvenience. You know, these trucks are big trucks. They're going into tight spaces. We have had some close calls at these locations. If we didn't, we wouldn't bring them to the council for approval. You know, again, we're just trying to have some safety and prevent liabilities here. And again, we're just asking for this on the trash day.
Even recycle then? So is it gonna be alternate on recycle?
Recycling, the city does not collect. That's a private.
Okay, so
We have not
they-
had any interactions with the recycling company, or specifically.
So it should just be one day then, not,
The only day that we said ban only on trash collection day. So I remember her saying Wednesdays and Fridays, but that's not the case. It would be
How
only
is
on the
that?
trash day.
well, it depends.
I bet she's thinking recycling too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would,
Yeah, and that's not the case. And we could, you know, we
I
could
think theirs is
certainly,
Wednesday is,
as far as recycling.
no, trash. I
Trash
think-
collection.
I
And
think
that kind
when I
of brings
met
in a
with
whole
them,
nother discussion. As you know, we were looking at changing
that's why
trash
I said-
days. And so this day may change. I don't know that, you know, at this,
Okay.
tonight, but that's why we didn't mention what day it was, because it could change.
Okay,
So it would only be one day a week,
Correct,
one day a week,
one day a week.
not
And you-
recycling.
not recycling.
And you were changing trash days to Monday through Thursday, and no trash pickup on Friday, right? Wasn't that what we already had
Potentially.
approved?
Yeah, there's more than just one day changing with the new,
Isn't it the refuse stuff getting picked up the same as the trash
yeah,
as well?
as the yard waste,
Yep.
yes. Correct.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sorry, I started that. Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item 16A.
Report from the mayor's office regarding appointments and reappointments to the Human Rights Commission.
Move to approve the appointments and reappointments as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item 17A.
Report from the city clerk's office regarding a request and a resolution from the Quad Cities Marathon Committee for the temporary closure of easternmost northbound lane of US 67 and the temporary closure of the eastbound and westbound lanes of Illinois 92 and 15th Street to the intersection of Second Avenue on Sunday, September 24th, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Move to approve the event as recommended and adopt the resolution.
Second.
We have a second. Question or discussions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item B.
Report from the city clerk's office regarding a request from Project Now to close 19th Street between 4th and 5th Avenues on Monday, September 11th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a mobile food pantry distribution.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Any question or discussions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item C.
Report from the city clerk's office regarding an activity permit application for World Relief Quad Cities to hold a 5K run Saturday, October 7th, 2023, from 8 to 9 a.m.
Move to approve the event as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Question or discussion?
Point of order. Samantha,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
don't need to have that memo corrected, right?
I don't believe so. I would
Okay.
defer to Chief Landy on that because I was out last week, but I believe him and the deputy clerk did work it out in terms of the route with World Relief.
Forgive me, council, I have not looked at the actual amended changes. From what I understand, what I was told is they initially wanted to do it downtown, large area of downtown, which we could not support. And since we talked to them and explained some of the details of an event like this, my understanding is they moved it over to basically where they have the Quad City Distance Classic, I think it is, over on the bike path along from downtown at Schubert Park all the way down to Sunset Park. So I think that's what the amended one should show.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay,
It
so
does.
that's what they're doing there for that.
Okay.
There was just to note, there's a correction. It refers to the Corn Belt Running Club. That was just a scrivener's error. It is World Relief, and Running Wild, I think, is the other sponsor. So just to note that correction.
All right. Anyone else? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item number D.
Report from the City Clerk's Office regarding street closing and sound amplification request from Evelyn Day to hold a block party on 43rd Street, 20th to 22nd Avenues on Saturday, September 9th, 2023, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Move to approve the request as recommended.
Second. Question or discussions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
Item E.
Report from the City Clerk's Office regarding an application for the 39th Annual Rock Island Labor Day Parade to be held Monday, September 4th, 2023, from 9:30 a.m. to noon.
Move to approve the event as recommended.
Second.
We have a second. Question or discussion? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And Hertz.
Aye.
All right, item 18, this is where I think we should get Streamline involved for questions. They were the first people here, including all of us, so.
Sorry to hold you for so long, gang.
Very sorry. So, before we do other business, anyone else have any questions or anything else you guys would like to go over? I'm sorry you guys were here so long.
I do have one question about the tower, the WHBF tower. Who will be in control of the lights for that? Will
good
that be the news station, or how is that going to work? I see.
I gotta go back to my.
Because I see it's a big focal point of the presentation and everything else, but I don't think we ever discussed that. Who's going to be responsible for that?
And with regard to the stringing
Yeah.
lights, so is it the city's responsibility to change, is it gonna be the city's responsibility to change light bulbs if and when needed?
Yes.
Okay. And I just wanna clarify that the parklets, you show different configurations so that there will be none in the street anymore, correct? And we're just gonna run a long thing on the sidewalk, and
Correct.
there'll still be room for pedestrians to pass,
Yeah, and
correct?
something to note on the parklets, they're modular and flexible, so like the configurations we even showed, there's probably another 25 configurations that can happen with these parts and pieces that all get
Yeah.
put together.
I noticed that Sally's on 14th Avenue, they
have
have
some.
something very, very similar to it, and they just have like planters, but they have maybe a table for two at each of the spots kind of thing. So, and then you're going to send me something about, I still don't understand how pedestrians cross through the roundabout and how you gotta turn, I don't get it, but you're gonna send me something?
Yeah, I can send it to the whole council too.
Oh, that would be
As far as a
wonderful.
video of how a roundabout works.
And am I allowed to distribute that? Because I can't tell you how many emails I have had about this roundabout.
Sure.
usually for roundabouts, there's a crosswalk before they enter into
Yeah.
the roundabout, and that's where pedestrians cross. So remember, way back in your driver's ed, you're supposed to stop before you get to a crosswalk. So that's where they're supposed to stop or pause and then proceed through.
Yeah, that's the key word.
Right.
Supposed to.
Supposed to, yeah.
Is that there would be additional traffic signage, right? So if you come to a roundabout, there's yield signs, not only for oncoming traffic, but also for pedestrians. It goes both ways.
I just think there'll be a lot of confused people.
What
And
are
I'm,
the, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
What are the, just out of curiosity, so the block lettering, you know, the Rock Island, what is that gonna be constructed of?
We've, there's several different methods, and we'll probably look at the cost for each. Aluminum, steel, powder-coated steel, polycarbonate, acrylic.
Light that up somehow, or?
Yeah, there's spotlighting. Sorry. Okay.
And that's at the green space, right?
Yes, yes. So we have pieces of spotlighting in the ground in front of it so that it'll shine up onto the letters at night.
Okay.
Do you need us to tell you which one we like?
I mean, there is 4 options. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Not tonight.
Could I send out a doodle poll maybe on?
Mike, where are you going? Come on.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
on
we can
slide
coordinate a
11,
doodle. I
Tim.
can send out a doodle poll with the
There was
city
the one
manager.
with the map, then there was
About
the
what they want.
multicolored one with white.
As we mentioned before, the roundabout is the main thing we were wanting to hopefully get approval for tonight.
I might be in the minority. I'm for a roundabout.
Thumbs up, people.
I'm thumbs up for the roundabout.
Do we got 4 of us?
People I've talked to don't want it, so I'm sorry.
What are your thoughts?
I used to
Let's
be
move
against it,
forward.
But I have since experienced the roundabout. I think it's a good idea. Let's go for it.
All right, you got a majority there.
I think on slide 11, when we're talking about the green space, I really do like the lights. I know Moses brought up, maybe oversaturation of lighting. I think that's an excellent use for them. And even looking at those, I think we would really be passing, even though I'm an Allman guy, passing up an opportunity not to have the rock in red. I mean, with Rocky being red in color, I would really strongly suggest towards that, just for pictures, homecoming, prom, things like that.
You're a team player. Good job.
Yeah, I'm a team
Yeah, I
player.
think the string lights would be good for those designated areas like
yeah.
Arts Alley and the
Yeah.
park and that green space. And
I
then
would
we can
agree.
probably remove them off the street and just use,
Street lighting.
so it just
Yeah.
won't be so much.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm probably in the minority. I think you can never have too much lighting in downtown, especially at night.
How will
I
that
agree.
affect or adversely
Putting more in
affect
those
the
spaces, right?
residents,
We're already adding more lighting.
down there?
What's that, Mark?
The lighting down there, I assume that it's all gonna be focused down so that you don't have, the lighting shining into somebody's
No.
windows and,
It will be brighter, though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about it.
Which is a good
right,
thing.
right.
Improved lighting.
That is the point.
It will be focused.
Yeah. I
Right?
like brightness on the ground, not so much shining into my windows.
Yeah.
That's how it would be.
I was against paying to light up the WHBF tower, but I'm for it now.
I think WHBF needs to cost share.
I hate paying to light their building.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, you got your roundabout vote now, so.
For the sign, I vote for option number 3 with rock
lighting.
in red and
Yeah.
island in blue.
I think it really ties off, but that's just,
Yeah, I really like that one.
I'm okay with that, too.
well, that's our city colors.
So
Yeah.
what we're hearing from the group is that we can move forward with the construction design phase and what we proposed tonight.
Yep, let's get on it.
Quit smiling, Mike. You get your roundabout.
Finally sleep.
Yeah, you can finally sleep.
Let's call it Mike's, it's gonna be Mike's roundabout, you know?
Yeah.
Jokes tonight.
He does.
Yeah, he's got a different personality tonight.
I was just gonna say, do you guys have any other questions?
Nope.
For them, thank you for all your hard
Honestly, thank you, and we
work.
do apologize that you were not told that we weren't gonna be here till about 5:30, so I am very sorry for that.
We've seen a lot of you.
So, well, yeah, right?
A lot of streamlining
Yeah, right.
contracts we approved tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah, great work, great listening
Yeah.
to the input.
Yep.
Thank you, guys. We'll come back to other business then.
You will?
We're coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, because, sure.
Oh, now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
I have one thing.
Let's go, Moses.
Last meeting, we passed to, let me back up. So we had a report from the traffic and engineering to ban parking on the north side of 8th Avenue between 11th and 12th Street. So once we did that, they put the signs up, and unbeknownst to me, the south side was banned parking also. So now there's no parking at all on that street. So we do have residents that live on that street. Where are they supposed to park at?
Mike?
I know we're talking about ban parking. Is this by Ostrom?
Yes.
That was the request? for
Yeah, so
Ostrom?
that whole street now is no parking.
Okay.
In the agenda item, it was just for the north side. Obviously, something has been done years ago on the south side of the street, but now that whole street is no parking. We do have residents that live on that street, so what was the idea for them to, where were they supposed to be able to park at?
So the south side is no parking, that's correct?
Correct. And I rode through and make sure I seen no parking on each side, and that's all the way from 11th Street to 12th Street. So that whole street is now no parking.
Yeah, we can take another look at it and come back to council with
Okay.
a recommendation. Again, we were approving, I don't know when that was approved for no parking on the south side.
Right.
The majority of the residents on the north side, I think, were mostly vacant lots or
Yeah, it's not a
owned
lot.
by Ostrom,
It's
which
not a
is
lot.
why we were looking at the approval for the north side, no parking.
It was a resident in particular who called me. I think he forgot he even signed the petition.
Okay. Yeah, because we didn't have any opposition at the time.
Right.
That was.
So
that they were
I just said I'll
notified,
bring
so.
it back and see what the plan is for that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we
there's
can-
no parking at all now on that street, so.
So the process would be, we put it back on traffic engineering, bring up the concern that you've mentioned.
Okay.
If we could get some contacts for that resident,
Okay.
maybe we can reach out and work out something with them.
Okay,
So, but it would definitely have to come back to council for approval.
thank you.
I have a question for our city manager. Do we know yet what the clawback the state's going to want for the PPRT yet?
I'm not certain. Linda, do you have any kind of an update? Linda, she leave? I'll find out. I'll find out the latest and send it out to you.
Okay, well, there's part two to that.
Okay.
So, could you please prepare a report for the city council, what the estimate of the surplus is, the projected clawback,
Yeah.
and how you're proposing to spend or save that money?
Yeah, that's anticipated that we'll do that as part of the budget process. So we'll have kind of options and recommendations.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna wait till November? I guess I wanted to
No, we'll do
see-
it earlier than that. The budget process, has already started, and we'll interact with the council on the budget in advance of November for sure. Yeah.
Oh, well, we're already mid-August, so,
Yeah, yeah.
and we keep voting to spend on all these projects, and we haven't reconciled yet with that surplus and things that need to be paid for as well.
Sure.
So, I don't want to get to the end, and then like, oh, we didn't have enough money. Oh, Mike, when are we getting another thing, I'm sorry, another presentation back on the reservoir, the domes? We haven't heard anything in months.
We're meeting next week, and then I can let you
Okay.
know.
Just stay there, Mike.
Project update. What?
Just stay there. No,
Oh.
just in case.
Yeah, we'll have an update soon.
I think about it, because that's supposed to be huge cost.
Yeah, they're working on several of our other projects related to the infrastructure and the ARPA projects, so they've been busy. But yeah, I'll have an update for you soon.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I would like to say that, unfortunately, I don't like the reason I'm here, but pass along condolences to the mayor. The reason I'm here is his father did pass away. So I'm sure as a council, we would all like to say that we're sorry and, wish him the best moving forward. So, anything else for the good of the cause, as the mayor would say?
Job tonight.
I stumbled a little in the end and recovered, so, in the beginning, but.
This was a tough meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it better when Mike does it.
I
They
was
go-
gonna
they're a lot
say,
quicker.
I know, I won't ever beat Jenny's record from the last time,
15 minutes
but
and done.
yeah. So with that, if there's nothing else, let's go to item 19.
Session 5 ILCS 122C1, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body.
Move to enter into closed session for the exceptions cited.
We have a second. Any questions or discussions? Roll call.
Alderperson Gilbert.
Aye.
Swanson.
Aye.
Parker. Pulis. Healy.
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
And